We will start with this notion of the city getting into the hotel business. The Sheraton, as most people know, is the city's largest hotel, has some 600 rooms, 200 of which aren't even usable. It shows how bad a shape it's in right now and in desperate need of a facelift, I think it's fair to say. Sam Hardiman's been covering this story for the Daily Memphian, and I put together a graphic, Sam, based on your reporting of just kind of what the mayor is envisioning how this would take shape. He'd like to spend $22 million for the hotel after issuing $30 million in bond debt through the Downtown Memphis Commission, and then sell the hotel later to an unnamed nonprofit. Help explain to the folks at home how exactly this would take shape and why would the city think it needs to be getting into the hotel business?
Yeah, first I'll explain. The city is not planning to manage this hotel. If the city council were to approve issuing this debt, which has to come this coming Tuesday, the city's not going to be managing this thing. They're going to give a local management group, the ability to manage it, and the city is essentially going to collect revenue. They hope there's some profit here. If not, city taxpayers will be bearing that probably operating loss. They hope to get some revenue out of that. And then next, they want to transfer it to a nonprofit. The mayor told me, you can read this article at thedailymemphian.com, they've had discussions with Louisiana-based Provident Resources Group, which does this really all over the country. And what they do is essentially Provident takes ownership of an asset, it's transferred over, they issue debt. That debt is either backstopped by the revenue of the project, in this case backstopped by the city of Memphis most likely, and they're going to be collecting fees and revenue from that at the same time as sort of taking that off of the city's books, so to speak. And so the real reason the mayor feels he needs to do this is essentially the city is very worried about the loss of the Sheraton as a working hotel. They're very worried about that. And they're also really worried about the idea that the hotel motel tax that comes with not just the Sheraton, but if you have, say, all those rooms at the Sheraton go dark and you can't book more conferences at the convention center, which the debt on the convention center is really driving this thing. The city of Memphis did a $200 million plus renovation of the convention center. All told, that's going to cost taxpayers more than $300 million with interest, right? The city essentially pays that debt with hotel motel taxes. Mm-hmm. And so you need hotel rooms to be full to get those full hotel motel taxes. That also pays the current debt on FedEx Forum and is a portion of the upcoming FedEx Forum renovations, hotel motel tax. It's a really tangled web of downtown finance, but that's why the mayor feels he needs to do this. Beyond the fact that, as he will say, downtown is Memphis's front door and all of that jazz, and you need to stabilize this asset in the middle of downtown. There are also real financial reasons to do it. And
there is precedent for this. Other cities have done similar things or are doing similar things. He mentioned Baltimore and I think several others.
Yeah, Baltimore owns the Inner Harbor Hilton, and that actually hasn't gone very well. Reporting from the Baltimore Banner, the Baltimore Sun shows taxpayers there have borne tens of millions in operating losses over the years.
Which does lead to the question, if there was demand for this and a private company thought it could make some money doing it, it would do it. So maybe there's a message in that to the city of Memphis that maybe there's no demand for this, for what the mayor is envisioning here. What do you think about that? I mean, if Hilton wanted to come in and make some money, it would. They're not going to turn down a convention center hotel.
It's certainly a fair question. There was that local management group that may come forward and manage the hotel. They had wanted to buy the hotel and were coming to the city for essentially a ton of incentives to do so. And the mayor just essentially not cut them out of the process, but said, rather than you buying it, us sort of helping you lock in some revenue here and lock in some profit, how about we just buy it, get some of the upside, and y'all can manage it for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Otis, you had a commentary on this on ABC24 earlier. You think it's a good idea?
Well, I think it's a necessary idea.
Okay.
I think everything, and Sam explained this very well, but the Renasant Convention Center is what's driving this thing, in my view. We just spent $200 million to make that a Cadillac, and now it's got a jalopy right next to it. And so you have to do something with the Sheraton Hotel. And I think it was a line in either your story or Sophia's story that said, no hotel people want to buy this thing. So I think this is necessary for the mayor to step in, propose a $22 million purchase, work with a private nonprofit group to manage it, and then reap those hotel motel taxes out of it that pays for that and a lot of other things. We have to do that Otherwise, the $200 million we put on the convention center is almost going to be useless.
Yeah, because you have to have a nice hotel with lots of rooms close to your convention center.
Exactly.
Every city has that. Let's get a quote here from Dean Dennis. He's the Renasant Senior VP and GM. He told the Daily Memphian that we are so reliant upon the hotel to really book a lot of big business. We've got a group booked for 2028 and another for 2029 that are actually holding off signing their contracts until they see what's going to happen with the hotel. It's like a race car without the wheels. What are your thoughts, Mark?
I totally understand what Otis is saying, and again, I think it's sad that our new mayor, Paul Young, has to basically deal with this. There's been the comment that we need to throw them a lifeline, but keep in mind, the hotel was built in 1984. It's got mechanical issues, electrical issues, plumbing issues, and environmental issues. If you put those factors in, and if you go with probably the lower end, about $150,000 per room to renovate. When you do the math on building a hotel, probably the best deal you're going to get is about $150,000 per room renovation times 600 rooms. You're talking about a $90 million investment. So while everybody's focused on the $22 million right now, where is potentially the $100 million going to come to renovate that hotel? I think we're doubling down, basically. To Otis's point, we put $200 million into an amazing convention center, but yet there are no rooms immediately attached to this convention center. And if you go to a convention, you want to walk from the floor over to your hotel. Mm-hmm. But I'm also a little concerned about the sense of urgency behind this. No one is jumping to buy the Sheraton. And investors have had the opportunity to buy it at the same rate. Why haven't they done it? And again, I'm just a little concerned that I understand the need for the convention center, but if you did double that amount of money, if you're going to put $90 million into a very old hotel, if you doubled that amount and really built something you needed, what would that look like?
So, well, I mean, Mark makes some good points here, and I can't push back on any of that. All I'm saying is that, and you know about this, return on investment. And if the return on investment is worth trying to do the deal, then let's think about doing the deal. The city council is going to have to do due diligence on this, and I believe that they will. There's already been some skepticism. I think Jerry Green offered some, city councilwoman. So let's the city council look at this, ask the questions, look at all the numbers, talk about the issues that you just talked about, and let's just have a public conversation about it then.
And let's be sure, too, we seek outside expertise. Let's just don't go to some of the same folks. Quite frankly, I'd go have a conversation with Mr. Bells, who restored the Peabody Hotel.
Yeah, he knows something about that.
Well,
he knows a thing or two.
At one point during COVID, they had 12 people in the Peabody Hotel during COVID.
Yeah.
But yet they're still here today. They're a namesake.
Yeah.
Again, I'd have some conversations with usual suspects and unusual suspects.
Yeah. We'll put up some concerns from Reverend Kenneth Whalum, who's a frequent guest on this show, and he feels very passionately about this. He says, number one, it's a sign of fiscal desperation. Mm-hmm. He thinks it's a very bad idea to allow Chance Carlisle, to manage this. He thinks there would be an appearance of impropriety because his brother is on the city council, and that he says his Hyatt-centric is a mess, service-wise, safety-wise, and otherwise, which I can hear him saying. And then he really thinks it's time, if it's this important, that the corporate community come to the table, especially the Greater Memphis Chamber, to step up and help out here. You want to take any of these, Sam? As far as what?
I'll take the one about impropriety. Like as you saw in our story when we put this news out on Tuesday morning, Chase Carlisle is going to recuse himself. He's required to by the city charter. He's required to by the city
his brother
code of
from the
ethics.
vote. Yes.
Chase Carlisle is going to have to recuse himself from this. The mayor has said publicly now he's only dealt with Chance on this, not Chase. Still, that's not going to remove what people perceive. And so that's all I'll really say.
Otis, are you bothered by the fact, and I'll leave this alone, but just that no hotel company in the country has looked at this project, a $200 million redo that's brand new, that they would be adjacent to. There's even a walkway to connect you to the convention center. Right. And no one thinks that it's a good enough investment to step up and...
Well, and I guess I'm not surprised by that, but they would be putting money in, and they don't see the value that the city of Memphis sees with the with the convention center. I mean, again, the convention center is the key here. And all of these hotel owners, they're not really thinking about the convention center. They're thinking, well, they might be to some degree, but they're thinking about, well, how much money is it going to cost me to do this? And if it's 90 million, if it's 190 million, I don't want to deal with that. Whereas the city has to think about it from a broad perspective and think about, well, what else are we losing here? And we're losing that hotel motel tax money that goes to pay for these other things, including the FedEx Forum, and we don't want to be sunk with a $200 million albatross.
But if this doesn't happen, think about it. This will have fallen through. One Beale will have fallen through. The Lowe's Hotel will have fallen through. There's a troubling track
There's a lot of
when it
falling
comes
through
to
going on.
mega hotels wanting to locate downtown or affording to be able to do so.
Yeah.
All right.